Hi everyone, I'm Rosemary and this is my very first BookTube video ever. I'm really excited and kind of nervous. I'd like to give a shout out right off the bat to Climbing the Stacks, who's the person that gave me courage to do this. I thought I wouldn't fit in because I'm a little older and I read kind of different things than everybody else, but she preached it and gave me the courage to go ahead and try. So I'm really excited and I thought I was going to jump right in and do my March TBR. So, we're already about a week into March, so obviously I've read some stuff already, and I'm in the middle of some stuff already. And if you hear funny noises from the other side of the room, that's because my little child is in his playpen hanging out, and he occasionally likes to talk to me. So, anyway, yeah, hi, sweetie. I'm going to start with two books that I've already read. I'm going to go into the books that I'm halfway through, and then we're going to talk about the books that are still in my pile. The first book I read in March was W. Somerset Maugham, The Painted Veil. I ended up liking this book a lot. I had never read any Maugham before, and this book follows Kitty Fane, who is the wife of doctor and bacteriologist Walter Fane. They're living in Hong Kong in the 1920s, and this is not a spoiler, it happens in the first few pages. She is cheating on him with somebody else. He finds out, also not a spoiler, it happens in the first chapter or so, is very upset with her. He's kind of a tortured soul sort of personality. He decides that she should die and maybe he should die, and they all death. So he drags them both to the epicenter of a cholera outbreak in China, and he is going to, oh sweetie, one moment. So he dragged her to the middle of this cholera outbreak, and character development ensues. One of the things I really liked about this book was the compassion that Maugham shows for female sexuality. I read on Wikipedia, I know a reliable source, that may have been because he was homosexual and therefore he had some compassion for people that didn't have the right kind of sexuality. But after reading things like Anna Karenina and Madame Bovary, where, spoiler alert for 100-year-old books, the wages of adultery are death. It's really nice to read a book where, again, spoiler alert, she doesn't die. She actually manages to sin according to, oh, there goes my child banging his water bottle against the wall. I guess that's better than screaming. She manages to commit adultery, have character change, and not have to throw herself on the train tracks over it, which I just really appreciated. It's also a really sweet, thoughtful, warm-hearted book, and I would recommend it to everybody. Sorry that turned into more of a review than I thought it would, but I really love this book. The second book I read in March was Seven Last Words by Terry Minshew Prophet. This is a very obscure book. I'm sure none of you have heard of it. If you have, please tell me in the comments section because I will be amazed. Terry is a poet. He's from the South. He's a retired pastor. And I was briefly the poetry editor of an online and print publication called Mud Season Review. And while I was poetry editor, we published these poems of his. And then he since came out with them in a chapbook, which is really fantastic. So the poems are based on the 7 last words of Christ. I don't think you have to be religious to appreciate them. Really what these are is meditations on those Bible verses, and he uses everyday objects and really beautiful detail to kind of bring them to life. I think you just need to be interested in other people interpreting literature and poetry. The poems are available online for free because Mud Season Review is an online journal and there's no paywall. However, I would really encourage you, if you are into the poems, to buy the book as well because it's a really beautiful bind up and it has some artwork in it. I'm going to show some of the artwork because it's just really lovely. And the art was also published on Mud Season, but to have it bound right next to the poems is fantastic. I really love this one. It's a tree. And there's also an extended author interview and some other materials. So if you go read the poems, I will link them down below, and you like them, I would highly, highly encourage you to buy the book. It's worth it, and it's not very expensive. So those are the books that I have read. Moving on to the books that I haven't read. Number one book, I'm almost done with it, V.S. Naipaul, Among the Believers, An Islamic Journey. I'm really interested in religion in general. I wouldn't say Islam in particular more than anything else, but current events being what they are, I thought it would be really interesting to get more of a deep history, the backstory of where the different Islamic nations came from and why they are where they are now. And I was really interested in this book in particular because V.S. Naipaul has won the Nobel Prize in Literature. This is supposed to be this amazing, amazing book. And I haven't been liking it very much. He comes across as kind of condescending about Islam, and he doesn't have a very, I'm sorry, can you hear him over there? He's talking to his water bottle. He doesn't have a really compelling argument that he's making, but I'm really close to the end of this book. This is all I have left. I'm hoping to finish it tonight after I make this video. And so then at least I'll be done with that and I can move on to maybe a book that I like more about the history of Islam. I'm thinking maybe Karen Armstrong or somebody else. Let me know. The next book that I'm halfway through the middle of is Finding God in the Burbs by Jenny Isbell and J. Brent Bill. These are two Quaker authors. I'm a Quaker. And they are writing about prayer. I'm not a vocal prayer kind of person, but I was really interested in this book because A, Quaker authors, and B, it draws a connection between theology and literature, or theology and the words that we use. And that's something really important to me, something I don't know much about, something that I haven't thought about as much as I would like to. And I was thinking about it anyway because I was reading Terry's poems, and this just dovetails really nicely. So it's not a very big book, and I'm, halfway through it. You kind of see my bookmark there. It's a fast, easy read. It's got cute little exercises you can do. I haven't been doing the exercises, but I'm certainly enjoying this just as a book. Now, I'll be talking less because, oh no, one more than I'm halfway through, and this is a doozy. Oh my goodness. This one. Ugh. So I don't actually like James Joyce. Oh, I'm not going to explain Ulysses to anybody. If you don't know what Ulysses is, what the deal is, you can look it up on the internet. It's Ulysses. I don't love James Joyce. I knew I wasn't going to love James Joyce, but I really wanted to read Ulysses because Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf is one of my top 10 all-time favorite novels, and I knew that Ulysses had influenced her. And because I love that book so much and want to understand it more, and it's a book that I reread, I thought that it would be really great to read Ulysses and get a better understanding of it, which I am doing, and I am going to finish it because I am stubborn like that. I am about halfway through. I'm not loving it. I knew I wasn't going to love it, but I am really appreciating the insight I'm getting. I actually just started a Mrs. Dalloway reread that I'm not including here. And I did feel like it helped me understand where she was coming from. Virginia Woolf, was coming from, not Clarissa Dalloway. Anyway, I thought it was really great for that. And there are some parts of it that I do find really beautiful. I'm listening to a 1982 Irish radio broadcast of this book, and I'm finding that really helps it be more accessible for me. It's all done with voice actors. Each character has a different actor that voices them, and they're all Irish, which is lovely. And yeah, Ulysses. All right, into the books that I haven't started at all and I want to dive right into in March. The Psychopath Test by Jon Ronson. Me and one of my two best friends in the world have a two-person book club where I give him my TBR list and he picks a book off of them, and then he gives me his TBR list and I pick a book off of that. And the V.S. Naipaul, this one, that was a book that he picked up of my list, and since we're almost done with that, well, he is done with that. You saw where I was in that one. I picked this off of his list. I don't know too much about this book. I did hear it reviewed on NPR, and of course when I went to pick it, I read everything I could find on it. But the idea is it's investigating psychopathy. Oh my God. Psychopathy and the industry and industry and business of mental illness. He interviews people that have been diagnosed as psychopaths. He interviews people that may or may not be psychopaths. And Jon Ronson is a journalist and a science blogger. No. Jon Ronson is a journalist and a science writer, which are both things that I like, so I'm hoping I'm going to love this book. Atul Gawande, Being Mortal. One thing about me is that I am a nurse practitioner. I'm interested in geriatrics and palliative care, all sorts of end-of-life issues, and so people give me books on dying all the time. So I have read kind of a stack about books on dying. I could probably do a whole video just on books about death and dying. And so my dad got me this for Christmas. I was not as excited about it right at the time as I should have been, maybe because I just gone on a big binge of death and dying books. But right now seems to be a good time to jump in. This is supposed to be an amazing book. It's gotten all sorts of like best of 2014 awards. So I'm excited to finally read it. I have read two Atul Gawande books before. Yes, I have. Complications and Better. Some reviewers have said this is better than either of those, which is great because I like this book's okay, but I wasn't blown away by them. It would be amazing if I'd be blown away by this. Next up, Mary Jo Bang, The Last 2 Seconds. This is just a little chapbook of poetry. I first got into Mary Jo Bang because she's one of those poets that has done an amazing and annoying thing. She translated Just Inferno. I love the Divine Comedy. Mary Jo Bang, Robert Pinsky, and probably 1,000 other poets have all done this thing where they translate Just Inferno, which is probably the most fun cantica. Still annoying. But this was such an amazing translation. And it came in this gorgeous bind-up with, gorgeous edition with this amazing art. This is Gurian. And just these, just so beautiful. I really loved this edition. I was so excited to read it. Look, it's like Saddam Hussein and Hitler boiling in the river of blood. You can't really see, but it's pretty great. So I got really into Mary Jo Bang for that reason, and I wanted to read some of her ordinary poetry that wasn't a translation, so hence The Last 2 Seconds. And again, small book. I don't think it'll take me too long to go through, but I'm pretty excited about it. Next up, we have Zadie Smith, Changing My Mind. I have not read Zadie Smith before at all. When I'm reading an author, I really often like to start with an essay collection because it kind of gives me a feeling for their thought. And writers on writing is one of my very favorite subgenres ever. So this is pretty exciting. She's writing, like the first essay is about reading Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Watching God. And then the second essay is on E.M. Forster. And then the third essay is on Middlemarch, which I love. So this is a pretty cool collection of essays that I'm really excited to read. Last but not least, this very long March TBR, which I know this seems outrageous, but I do usually read like 10 plus books a month, so it's not as craziness as it may seem. Walter Mosley, The Easy Rollins Mysteries. I love me some good genre fiction. And I have not read Walter Mosley before. I'm always looking for a new detective series that I can get really into. And I'm always really into reading more diversely. So Walter Mosley hits all those buttons for me. And especially since these ones were written a little earlier, I tend to like detective fiction that was written a little earlier. I'm a big fan of Golden Age detective fiction. So I'm really hoping that these are going to be fantastic. I don't know if I'm going to read both of them or just one of them, but I got both of these from BookMooch. So I'm pretty excited by these. That's it. That is my March TBR. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for watching. I'm so excited to be starting on BookTube. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been watching a lot, and I just started following people on Twitter, and I started to feel like I was getting to creepy stalker status, and so I decided I needed to just join in. So here I am. And thank you so much for being the amazing community that you are. Bye.